Hi, today I'll be talking about the English Civil War and how that and the aftermath of the war changed England and Europe to this day. First, I'll do a short introduction to the subject. England has never had a full-scale revolution such as many of its counterparts, for example, France or USA or Russia. But some would say that the English Civil War in 1642 is as close as you get. And this is the content that I'll be talking about today. First of all, I'll explain a little about the Magna Carta because I feel as though that is an important part of the English Civil War, and it's important to explain how this is important. Um, in 1215, the nobles and barons and the English people alike felt as though King John was um, unable to properly decide for in different matters, especially when it came to taxes and wars, and therefore the nobles and barons wanted to ensure their rights. What he did was force King John to sign a document called the Magna Carta, which gave them their rights and also limited royal power. Now, the war. Speaking about unpopular kings, Charles I was the King of England in 1640, obviously. Um, he was unpopular due to many reasons as well, but one of them was that he didn't call a parliament for 11 years, especially to discuss the taxes that he was forcing the population to pay. And that made him seem like more of an absolute monarch, a monarch that didn't listen to the people, such as the kings of France or Denmark. Um, Parliament wanted to uh, get their voice back and the ability to decide for their country, and they did try to do that by law, but that didn't work. And so in 1642, war broke out between the parliament and the king. The king was supported by royalist cavaliers. They were largely local and willing volunteers, whilst the parliament ordered a specially trained army, which was called the New Model Army, and that was led by Oliver Cromwell, as you can see in the top right corner here. And obviously the parliament won, as they had the trained forces and were more ready for war. And Charles I was beheaded. Oliver Cromwell took charge as the ruler of England. However, his rule was strict. He was unpopular. He denied population of, for example, celebrating Christmas or attending theaters. And so when Mr. Oliver Cromwell died, Parliament asked Charles I's son, Charles II, to become the King of England. And so England was yet again a monarchy, which it has been ever since, and which it has become relatively famous for. Charles II is called the Merry Monarch. He is one of the most celebrated and popular monarchs through English history. And under his rule, culture, uh, colonization, and trade flourished. Uh, Probably the only ones who didn't get to experience these great times were the people with religious views that stuck out, and many of these had to travel to USA to start new lives over there. Um, Later on, we had the Glorious Revolution. After Charles II came James II, his brother, who became king, but he was forced to leave his position by the parliament because he was Catholic. And he wanted to make sure that the Catholic people had more rights in England, and the parliament, which was largely Protestant, felt threatened. And so they went to his Protestant daughter, Mary, and her husband, William of Orange, and asked them to become King and Queen of England. However, they had to do it at a price. They had to accept the Bill of Rights, which was a document that limited royal power further than the Magna Carta did. And since then, the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights have made for a basis for the English Constitution, and it is a model that England and many of the monarchies around Europe are still using today. And the conclusion as to how these historical events have changed England and Europe as well. First of all, the new model army was a great success, obviously, for the parliament, and many more countries saw the use of having professionally trained armies, and most countries have that today, which is one way that these events have changed history. Secondly, the religious groups that fled England, went to the New World, to the USA. They made for different settlements in the US, obviously, that were religious in their own ways. And that is something that we can see the result of even today. But the largest reason why the Civil War is such an important event in history is the Bill of Rights and the Glorious Revolution. In monarchies around Europe today, including Britain, monarchs have are more figures. They're head figures. They're more symbolical persons than they are leading figures. And that is something that the Civil War has changed. And today there aren't many countries in the industrialized world who have monarchs who are absolute rulers. And here are my sources.